super special to me about writing a book about how well you handled the coronavirus crisis months ago. It's been out for months now, this thing. And still cases have spiked, and all the stuff that he did with the nursing home, that, believe it or not, that wasn't acknowledged. His disregard of experts, his mangling of New York City's vaccine rollout, especially early on, and especially by just throwing out what experts said and making up his own rules out of nowhere for no apparent reason, and his just dismissal of experts on a Trumpian level. Like, that is what's going on here. We are seeing just this insane, like, addiction to power from him, that finally there is an accountable legislature in New York City, a kind of an independent Democratic legislature that can really hold them accountable, which is quite something here. So the sentence action also illustrates a deepening fatigue in the Democratic-controlled state legislature over Cuomo's broad use of powers, which enable him to control nearly every facet of the state's response to the virus, from ordering widespread shutdowns to managing the distribution of vaccines to feuding with state health officials, which he has done pretty frequently. 9 of them have resigned. 9. The tension was laid bare on Wednesday, with Cuomo attacking critics, singling out Assemblyman Ron Kim, a Queens Democrat, who said the governor had threatened him last week, an accusation which, of course, the governor's staff said was a lie, of course. We'll take him at his word there for that. Of course, Cuomo, very, very credible. But just an absolutely insane story if you're not aware. Like, this guy, he was called by Cuomo again and, like, repeatedly and pressured with threats of, like, political destruction. You haven't seen my wrath yet, Ron. I'm going to bring the hammer down on you. Are you a lawyer? No, I didn't think so. I'm going to come after you, Ron. Say that I did nothing wrong. Say that I did nothing wrong. There's some lines you don't cross. Like, all these things are real things that he said to this legislator while he was on the phone, like, with his wife in the room, about to bathe his kids, and he was called multiple times. Like, and he was like, the only way I'm going to talk to Cuomo again is through counsel. Like, that is what's going on here. I'm fearing political retribution here. I'm fearing career damage. This guy keeps calling me. He keeps threatening me. He keeps hanging. Like, he's got a lot of power. And, like, it's cartoonish. It's insane. But he is someone with a lot of power and who has shown time and time and again he has no problems with using it in whatever way serves him the best. So it is a really remarkable story there. Earlier this week, a group of Assembly Democrats, including Kim, circulated a letter among colleagues seeking support for the revocation of Cuomo's powers that suggests the administration had broken federal law, an accusation the governor stridently denied on Wednesday. That came after 14 Senate Democrats signed onto a statement saying that it was clear that extended emergency powers granted to the governor were no longer appropriate. Senate leaders now intend to pass a bill that would limit the governor's ability to supersede state laws to combat the pandemic and would establish a 10-person commission made up of members of Assembly and Senate to evaluate any future pandemic-related directives by Cuomo, as well as suspensions of laws. So that seems like at least some step. I mean, how about take away all the powers? Would be nice. The move to shift some of the governor's authority to state lawmakers, many of whom are working remotely from their home districts, has raised concerns among some dissenting Democrats about hampering the state's ability to make quick decisions as it continues to battle the coronavirus. But the Senate Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, a Westchester County Democrat, said that her chamber's actions reflected the changing nature of the pandemic. And honestly, whoever those critics are, wherever they may be and however they may be influencing the text of this article, I don't think they could do a worse job, the people in the legislature, than Cuomo has so far. This is definitely a story we'll be following for you. The levels of complicity and kind of like ass covering here done by the media is also insane. It's a very interesting story here. This kind of war that's breaking out between Cuomo and his legislature, and what will be his future from this. It's going to be very interesting. So join us Friday again for Uncultured. We'll be back Sunday for Newsflash, so we'll see you then.